Welcome, fellow Phoenixes, to the Spiritual Phoenix Podcast, where we make a daily offering to the divine by putting our past on the pyre, searching the smoke for spirituality, turning the ashes into art, adapting isolation into connection, and manifesting mental wellness. I'm your host, Ross Cessna, and I'd like to take a minute right now and focus on one thing that we're grateful for. Today, I'm grateful to be able to take rest times, to be able to rest. There's been many times in my life to where I always pushed, fought, and wouldn't take the time to relax. And we need time to relax as much as we need time to be active. They both play a role. We might want to perpetually create things and constantly push ourselves, which is a predominant operating mode in our culture, I would say. But rest is necessary in order to make more progress, in my experience. And with that being said, I'd like to get into today's topic, which is this episode is dedicated to my friend Melanie. There was a little bit of a Facebook discussion going on, and I said that I would make an episode about it to respond to it. And this isn't to teach her anything or teach anybody anything. This is to share my opinion based upon my life experiences. I don't perceive myself as a teacher. If you do, know that I'm a student first. I'm foolish and I make mistakes and misconceptions all the time. I will acknowledge them when I notice them, if I ever do. And with that being said, I'd like to start this off by reading a couple samples of articles I wrote earlier, because it shows that this philosophy was already existent in my past. I might have mislabeled what my belief structure of it was, which is fair to say. Change is guaranteed in our universe. Every material thing is in a constant state of flux, either being formed or destroyed, sometimes both simultaneously. On an emotional or spiritual level, we are either in a state of progress or regress. I can't say there isn't a place where we feel no emotions, because I have been there. It is a real purgatory that is a path of regression, in my opinion. The thing is, even regress can eventually lead to progress and vice versa. We need to respect the current moment, but never forgetting it will not always be this way, either good nor bad. So we progress, mindful of the course we chart as we sail the sea of our soul, ever vigilant on a journey to our destination, which always lies on the horizon. This is from a separate article. Oftentimes we fall into the illusion of seeing our inner world in the light of eternal sunshine, or in the darkness of an infinite abyss found on a moonless, starless night. In reality, we are neither. With honest self-exploration and self-discovery, we can achieve a sustainable summer solstice of self. The journey of self-discovery is an endless one that is not for the faint of heart. The tragedies may be many at first, the emotional injuries plenty, but the reward is priceless. When our journey of self-discovery takes us into the realm of eternal sunshine of our soul, we see an abundance of beauty, hope, compassion, self-respect, and unconditional love for others, self included. While this place is beautiful and is a place to strive for, it is easy to get caught staring at the pink clouds while life goes on around us. It is inevitable that nighttime will come eventually, and if we are too busy staring at the beauty exposed by the lovely light illuminating all, we suffer greater. When we could have been building a shelter, a fire, or even just continuing down the path to see what lies ahead, we were sensory gluttons. Inevitably, the night does come, and it will take longer for our eyes to adjust to night vision if we are staring at the sun. When facing darkness on our road to self-discovery, we are confronted with few choices. The first choice being fear, panic, self-loathing, anger, sadness, etc. Think of these feelings as nocturnal beasts with an insatiable appetite to devour us, intent on our destruction. However, we can prepare ourselves for the inevitable battles that occur under the blanket of the night by following the second choice. The alternative to the first choice is preparing for the darkness before it falls. This does not imply that we live in constant anxiety or fear for the night when in the summer sun of the soul. Rather, we should focus some of our energy gathering the necessary supplies to survive the night. We sharpen our arrows, reinforce our shelter, and gather the supplies for fire. Just because it is dark doesn't mean we can't carry light into it. On my perpetual quest of self-discovery, I have carried both the darkness into the light and the light into the darkness, both of which have been fundamental for personal growth. Carrying the darkness into the light was crucial in order to be prepared for bringing the light into the darkness. Although the light and the darkness may have made some shadows stretch, contorting the shapes of my internal landscape, it allowed me to see myself in my path. Upon the light returning, I was able to look at the objects transformed by darkness and see them in the real shape, smaller, more manageable, and less frightening. On the journey to self-discovery, we need the cycle of day and night. It is akin to the necessity of everything that exists needing them in physical existence. As you may know, many plants, for example, breathe carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen during the day. At night, however, they breathe oxygen and release carbon dioxide. This process is essential for creating the oxygen we breathe, much like the process that is needed for plants to grow as well as sustain all aerobic life on the planet. We need both day and night internally. All the emotions we feel in self-discovery are the fertilizer for the soul. Our understanding and respect of them nurture the need to overcome the nature of life. Now, to get into the topic, is there a negative side to positivity? Yes, I have to say that now. Yes, there is. Is there a positive side to negativity, though? Yes, I would say that that's true as well. And the argument I'll say is we need to look at Newton's third law of physics, which can be formally stated as, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. If we are positive, we will experience negative reactions equal to the highs of our positive experience. However, if we are negative, we will experience positive reactions equal to our negative actions, which in turn lead to more negative, then positive, and so on into infinity. Realizing this basic law of physics led me to ponder a way out of this perpetual teeter-totter, which deals with what is an object when it has equal charges of negativity and positivity, and it would be neutral. And neutrality in many instances also implies taking no action. See, I misunderstood my own philosophy as positivity when in reality it is more akin to neutrality. Neutrality as a philosophy of life to me would mean not assigning labels to our emotions, feelings, actions, etc. Rather embracing them not as good or bad emotions, experience, actions, but as experiences. Which is basically what I started off the first episode of the show saying. I didn't want to label things as good or bad, but I fell out of that habit. And now with the philosophy of neutrality, I should be able to remember it a little bit more easily. Obviously, some results will be more favorable and others will be less favorable in neutrality. I said that, and this is in response to the discussion that I had, I said that positivity requires a daily conscious effort, which is true, and applying the law of physics, that would mean that negativity requires a daily unconscious effort of equal energy. Both positivity and negativity are easy, not simple. Following that logic of either charge being easy, not simple, neutrality is by default simple, not easy. Most of my unfavorable emotional responses come from a narrowed perspective. Why is this happening to me? What if, however, I framed it as, why is this happening for me? Which on a spiritual path can be a much easier question. If every situation, favorable or unfavorable, is a lesson, like what is the lesson behind it? It then becomes. My unfavorable responses also arise from expectations of how I perceive things should be, as well as refusing to how accepting things are. So that kind of gets into, I set myself up for my own misery, basically. In my own personal experience, and I'm not saying this for everybody because everybody's different, the one central thread in my unhappiness was how I perceived the situation, expectations I had about the situation not being met to what I perceived my standards to be, and then not wanting to accept the reality of the situation. My understanding now is that my higher power presents me with things that are there to teach me lessons. I have learned a lot from unfavorable outcomes, and I've learned a lot from favorable outcomes. Some of my unfavorable outcomes actually became favorable, and some of my favorable outcomes actually became unfavorable. And back into neutrality, if positivity was white and negativity was black, neutrality would not be the gray area in between, because then it is a blurred vision of both. Neutrality would be the invisible circle surrounding the yin and yang, as well as the invisible space between. And there was a couple things that Melanie had raised that I would like to address as well. One of them being, people are born either pessimistic or optimistic. And I disagree with that. And I'm not disagreeing for Melanie's sake. I'm disagreeing for the topic of discussion. And I would say we are not really born necessarily anything. We aren't born being able to speak. We aren't born being able to walk. We aren't born being able to care for ourselves. Those are learned behaviors. Just much like many mental health issues, you may be predisposed to them, but the wide understanding is that there's also other factors that play into actually creating those instances. And Gabor Mate talks about the biopsychosocial element of mental illness, addiction, and those things, which is my belief as well. Having dealt with severe depression, mania, psychosis, addiction issues, it's amazing how when I changed my internal dialogue, my settings, the people I surround myself with, etc., how much different my outlook is. And I was medicated that whole time. Granted, I was also self-medicating, so I can't say that the medication in itself wouldn't have been beneficial. But I also do know that the extra things I've been doing, such as 12-step programs, such as therapy, such as writing, such as introspective thought, such as philosophy, such as spirituality, have fundamentally increased my successfulness, my happiness, my serenity, etc. So the other thing that she posed a question about was manifestation. In regards to manifestation, yes, you can manifest realities. No, it isn't simply by thinking a thought that you can create an external circumstance. You can't think someone else to death any more than you can think them to life. However, if you believe that your thoughts killed somebody, or you believe that your thoughts created somebody, then that becomes reality to you. So just like you can't think an object into existence or out of existence, you can manifest your own reality, though, by how you think about a situation and then doing the work to manifest your reality. If you have an idea to build a new invention and you think an unfavorable outcome will occur in regards to your concept and an unfavorable outcome of your process of creating it, you will likely have unfavorable results. First off, why the hell did you build something you didn't believe in and waste the energy on doing something that you had such an unfavorable outlook on? And that goes the same as negative feelings. Negative feelings really don't make anybody feel good. So why would you want to waste that energy? And I understand that certain people have conditions that prevent them from working through those things. And I'm not going to say that people are lazy because they can't do it, because it's an incredible amount of energy to be depressed. I think that part of the reason depressed people don't want to do as much is because they spend so much energy on attacking themselves, beating themselves up, and feeling like crap. I know that when I was depressed, I was constantly assaulting myself verbally. You're not good enough. You're not doing enough. You're not this enough. You're not that enough. So negativity is an incredible expenditure of energy. Now, looking in regards to having a favorable outcome on your idea in manifestation, if you believe in a favorable outcome of your idea, a favorable outcome in creating it, regardless of what setbacks you face, it will likely end up being created. If you were that passionate about creating it, it will likely resonate with someone else as well. In my opinion, manifestation is based upon self-talk, much like how we perceive reality. When we say, I am sad, I am angry, I am depressed, I am happy, it reinforces those feelings. I am statements are very powerful, and if you disagree with me, that's completely fine. Your belief or non-belief in this has no impact upon me. And one of the reasons I say that I am statements or words in general are powerful is the etymology of the root of the word grammar. Grammar is closely related to the word grimoire, which is a book of spells. Look at the word spelling. It has spell directly in it. The magical phrase abracadabra literally means I create as I speak. So when we utter phrases like I can't, I will try, both which imply the failure or possibility of failure before starting, it's amazing how less successful or how less successful we are at what we're doing. Rather, we should say, I will learn to, I can eventually. Just as if we say, I am depressed, this will never end, etc. It perpetuates those feelings. I could go on, but it's time to put this episode on the pyre. Please check below for the links to all my social media accounts. Contact me via message on Facebook if you have any topics you wish to bring to light, or if you'd like to potentially be a guest. Also, please take the time to respond to the PodTrack listener survey, as it helps me understand my audience. Finally, if you would like to get paid to write, click the link below as well. All you have to do is write 5 sentences in English. Love and light. Namaste.